and gentlemen, to the end of membership as we know it. So, how many of you recognized most of the images in that video? How many of you lived through most of those events? A few of you, yeah. So the video shows you a compilation of major trends and events from 1964 to current day. And it's pretty mind-boggling, right? I think we can boil it down to one word: change. Really rapid, unprecedented, crazy change. And we are at the end of an era, and that sounds really ominous, but it's true. We're at the end of an era for a reason, actually 3 reasons. It's kind of the culmination of a perfect storm. And the first reason that we're at the end of membership as we know it is because of the declining economy. Now, we talk about the recent recession as being the worst in 70 years, but we actually haven't had a stable economy since the dot-com bubble burst. And that, of course, changes membership. It changes consumerism overall. Because now whether I'm spending $5 for membership or $500, I'm demanding a greater return on my investment. The second thing we're seeing is rapidly changing technology. Do you know there's been more technology developed in the last 5 years than in the last 50? We never really stopped to think about that, but wow, that is dramatic, substantial change. That's changing everything about the way we live, work, and do business. And it's certainly changing membership. Because now I want access to more programs, more services, more information, more benefits, faster than ever before. And the third shift we're seeing, which is what we'll really delve into this evening, is the demographic shift. And I think out of all 3, this is the most daunting. Because throughout history, economies have gone up and down, and we know they eventually recover. And we've obviously learned how to adapt to technology, right? But the demographic shift, oh my gosh, we've never experienced anything quite like this. Right now, every single sector, every single industry, with the exception of technology, is largely managed, supported, and dominated by the baby boomer generation. Now, that's really no surprise, because when the baby boomer generation came of age, they were 78 million Americans. It was a very large generation, and boomers were able to move into positions of power and influence and stay there. But according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and the U.S. Census Bureau, as of 2015, baby boomers will no longer be the majority of the workforce. It will actually be Generation Y. Now, to put that into perspective, this year, Generation Y will turn between the ages of 20 and 33, which means, since they're becoming the majority of our workforce this year, that means the majority of our workforce will be in their 20s. And I don't think we're quite ready for that, are we? It's going to be the largest shift in human capital in history. Crazy change. Okay, so we got to really get in the mindset of Gen Y, also known as millennials, if we want to engage them and have any hope for being relevant to them in the future. So, I'm sure you've heard of a selfie, right? So I want you to pull out your phone, and I want you to take a selfie with a neighbor. I'll give you 1 minute to do this. Take a selfie. All right, awesome. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back, please. All right, the view of you guys taking selfies up here is amazing. It's kind of comical, actually. But so now I challenge you to go out on Twitter, tag tag this event on Twitter and post your selfie. So why am I talking about selfies? Well, you know, if you haven't noticed, selfies are like everywhere, right? We're seeing them in celebrities and, oh my gosh, even the Pope and the president while the First Lady's engaged in serious business. And even royalty. Isn't that sweet? Oh. But selfie actually became Oxford Dictionary's word of the year in 2013. But here is what's fascinating. In 2004, that was the first year, the first time the word selfie was introduced. It was introduced by a young person. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example of what I call the trickle-up effect. Every single fad, trend, major initiative, from rock and roll to Harley Davidson to Facebook to selfies, starts with the younger generation and it eventually trickles up and influences the masses. So whether you like it or not, you've got to pay attention to what younger generations are doing, what trips their trigger, what they're really fascinated, motivated by, because that is going to influence everybody in this room. Time magazine recently ran this cover and called Generation Y, the millennials, the me generation, narcissist and entitled and lazy. Now, we are notorious for some reason for doing this, for really criticizing the youngest generation in the room. And I don't know why we do this, but you know, when the baby boomers came of age, they were the hippies and the tree huggers. And when Gen X came of age, they were the slackers. And now Gen Y is coming of age, and we're saying that they're spoiled and entitled. And I'm sure you've heard an excuse as to why this generation isn't engaged in YMCA. You know, they don't value membership. They're busy starting careers. They want everything online. They haven't grown into it. They're getting married. They don't have jobs. They're having kids. They aren't joiners. They're entitled. They're broke. They're lazy. And I'm sure you've heard many other excuses as well. Why do we do this? I don't know why. Maybe it's fear of change. Maybe it's fear of death. But we really critique the youngest generation, and that has to stop. You have to realize that we're all in this boat together, and if we want to survive, we have to engage the next generation. It's imperative. Well, before we can talk about engaging the next generation, I want to go back in history for just a moment, because we need to fully comprehend what got us here, right? So let's start